A 9-year-old girl suddenly vanished during the early morning hours of April 6, 1986. Investigators were left wondering what happened to her that evening as the details from important testimonies continued to change. Family members were suspected of arranging her disappearance, but they took all their secrets to the grave with them. Welcome to Without a Trace. I'm your host, Jalyn. Every file holds a mystery. Every story deserves to be heard. This is Anthonette's story. Penny Cayedito, a Navajo woman, had 3 daughters: 9-year-old Anthonette Cayedito, 7-year-old Sanita, also known as Sadie Montoya, and 5-year-old Wendy Montoya. Anthonette Cayedito was born on December 25, 1976. Her father is Larry Estrada, a carpenter of Italian and Hispanic descent. Penny was recently separated from Sadie and Wendy's father, Anthony Montoya. Following this divorce, Penny and her daughters lived in Gallup, New Mexico. By the time she was 6 years old, Anthonette played a vital role in caring for her younger sisters. She helped her mom cook meals and iron the children's clothing. Anthonette was attending 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary School. She was wise beyond her years, receiving above-average grades. She displayed a flair for sports and physical activities, winning the Presidential Fitness Award the year she went missing. Outside of school, Anthonette displayed a strong interest in her weekly Bible studies and was devoted to her faith. She was known by her peers for being kind, caring, dependable, and friendly, and was described as having a caregiver's heart. Anthonette loved listening to music, especially Michael Jackson, and loved the color purple. On the evening of Saturday, April 5th, 1986, Anthonette's mother, Penny, had plans to go out with a friend to a bar. While she was getting ready, a man named Emiliano Gardella, nicknamed Emo, came over to the residence to bring Anthonette flowers and a gift of a bear necklace. While Penny was gone from the room, Emo had Anthonette sit on his lap. Penny's best friend was a man named Ronald, who had introduced Emo to Penny. In the past, Emo never showed up at their house unless he was with Ronald. However, on the evening of April 5th, Emo arrived alone. Eventually, Emo left the home, and Penny continued with her plans to go out to a local bar. A babysitter arrived to watch Anthonette and her sisters. Penny came home around midnight and sent the babysitter home. Penny made Anthonette's younger sisters, Sadie and Wendy, go to bed, but Penny and Anthonette stayed up playing cards, something they didn't normally do. Around 3 a.m. on Sunday, April 6, 1986, Anthonette, wearing her pink nightgown, climbed into bed with her mom, Penny, to go to sleep for the night. When Penny woke up around 7 a.m. to get the girls ready for Bible school, she realized Anthonette wasn't in her bedroom. Penny and the girls searched around the house but couldn't find her. Panicked, Penny rushed outside to ask her neighbors if they had seen Anthonette, but no one had. After scouring the neighborhood for her missing daughter, Penny called the police around 11 a.m. She was informed about the standard missing person procedure, which required an 8-hour waiting period before officially reporting a case. Penny and concerned neighbors began searching the city themselves until a few hours later when police officially classified Anthonette as a missing person and joined the search efforts. A 3-day search was conducted by state police using 4-wheel drive vehicles, horses, and motorcycles to scour areas in and around southwest Gallup, but it yielded no new clues or evidence. 2 search dogs joined the search, but they were unable to pick up Anthonette's scent. Police did not conduct an official search of the Cayedito home until 4 days after Anthonette had disappeared. Oddly, Anthonette's clothing and belongings were not taken from the home, and there was no evidence consistent with a forced entry or a struggle at the front door. Police were stumped as to what happened to her. Detectives questioned relatives, friends, and neighbors living in a 3-block radius of the Cayedito house, conducting more than 36 interviews with people who had knew Anthonette. Police later learned that a number of people had been in and out of the Cayedito home prior to Anthonette's disappearance, with one neighbor saying it wasn't unusual for Penny to have people visit at all hours of the night. According to the police report, there were multiple witnesses who saw Emo bringing flowers to Anthonette the night before she went missing, something Penny originally omitted from her statement to police. Penny only mentioned emo after a family member brought it up during the police search. At that point, Penny disclosed that emo had given flowers to Anthonette 3 times within the days leading up to her disappearance. Emo has never been named as a suspect or person of interest by law enforcement. Shortly after Anthonette's disappearance, reports of possible sightings started to come in. On April 8, 1986, a witness reported he believed he had seen Anthonette in San Antonio. He recalled seeing a Hispanic girl in a long pink dress with a blonde-haired woman on the side of the road. It is unknown if this girl was Anthonette. On April 19, 1986, a woman claimed to have seen a brown truck at a Thriftway gas station. As the truck passed, the woman believed she could hear a little voice screaming, "Help me, help me." The witness believed it could have been Anthonette. On June 30, 1986, a witness claimed he had seen Anthonette at a bus depot in El Paso, Texas, in the presence of 2 Hispanic men. He claimed the girl was wearing a pink dress, white shoes, and had a noticeable mark on her cheek, similar to one Anthonette had. These reported sightings brought hope to the investigation, but did not aid in finding Anthonette. Concerns started to grow about the lack of transparency from family members, leading to suspicions that they might know more than they were revealing. A detective voiced these concerns publicly, explaining there was a strong belief among the investigators that crucial information was being withheld by the family. 1 year after Anthonette's disappearance, after losing trust in everyone involved, police began re-interviewing all suspects and family members, and Penny's actions that night became a focal point of the investigation. Investigators focused on the fact that Penny had brought friends into her home after her night out, a detail she initially did not disclose to the police. Investigators grew increasingly suspicious that Penny might be withholding a crucial detail that could have been pivotal in solving the case. In addition to this, her failure to pass a lie detector test only intensified these suspicions. As the investigation dragged on, Penny eventually shared more details, but arranged her new testimony to remain private to shield herself and her family from negative publicity. Then, on the afternoon of April 12, 1987, 1 year after her disappearance, the Gallup Police Department received a frantic phone call from a young girl claiming to be Anthonette.
Police Department. Hello. I'm Anthonette Cayedito. I'm Anthonette Cayedito in Albuquerque. Okay, whereabouts in Albuquerque? Who said he could use a boat? Hello? Anthonette, where are you? Anthonette? Hello?
The 40-second call was automatically recorded to tape. Penny listened to the recording repeatedly and believed the voice to be her daughter's by the way she pronounced her surname and by the sound of her screaming. But Penny did not recognize the adult's voice that was angrily heard shouting, "Who said you could use the phone?" Detectives said the phone call was too short to be traced, which meant police were unable to determine where the call originated from. One perplexing detail about the phone call is that it was made directly to the Gallup Police Department rather than dialing 911, the standard emergency number. In January of 1989, the call was broadcast on the radio for the first time, and new leads started pouring in. Police started getting tips on possible sightings. On November 4, 1989, The Independent, a local newspaper, reported that a Missouri man had seen Anthonette a week prior at a truck stop off Interstate 70 in Waynesfield. He recognized her from the missing person posters and said that she was alone, wearing torn jeans, a dirty white t-shirt, a red bandana, and a large watch. The witness also stated that the girl had acted like she was afraid of people and like she had been punished for something. This encounter was reported to police. 5 years after Anthonette's disappearance, Wendy revealed she witnessed the abduction of her sister. Wendy, who had been just 5 when Anthonette went missing, provided a different account from what she previously said. In 1986, the children and Penny stated they were asleep and unaware of what happened, but Wendy's new testimony challenged this. Wendy described how she heard a knock on the front door in the morning hours of April 6, 1986, right after 3 a.m. She recounted that a man, claiming to be a relative named Uncle Joe, was at the door. Wendy followed Anthonette from behind. When Anthonette opened the door, believing it was her uncle, two men immediately grabbed her as she kicked and screamed, pleading for them to let her go. Wendy testified that she saw the two male abductors place her sister into a brown van before speeding away. She also mentioned that at 5 years old, she was unable to fully grasp the danger or process the traumatic experience immediately after her sister's disappearance. Wendy felt guilty and feared getting in trouble, especially after seeing her mother's constant distress over Anthonette's disappearance. This fear and confusion contributed to her reluctance to share what she had witnessed. Wendy's young mind struggled to process what she saw, and overwhelmed and exhausted, she went back to sleep on the evening of April 6th. The following morning, she felt a sense of guilt for not waking up her mother, and as time went on, she became increasingly reluctant to talk about what she had seen. Uncle Joe was a real person in the Cayedito family and was a paternal uncle to the children. He was questioned by police and was found to have a solid alibi and a witness who backed his claims. He was excluded as a suspect in the disappearance of his niece. Penny's best friend, Ronald, had an answer for this knock on the door. He told detectives that around 3:30 a.m., he knocked on the door and a bedroom window of the home, claiming that he was checking on Penny after they got into an argument at the bar. He said he left and spent the night at the home of a friend who lived down the street. The homeowner corroborated this account. Then, in 1991, police released age progression images of Anthonette, who would have been 15 years old at this time. 4 months later, a Gallup officer received a chilling phone call from a waitress at a restaurant in Carson City, Nevada. She encountered a teenage girl matching Anthonette's description in the company of unkempt company. The girl continuously knocked her utensils to the floor, seemingly attempting to get the waitress's attention. According to the waitress, the girl grabbed her hand and squeezed it firmly each time the waitress handed back the utensils. After they left, the waitress cleaned their table and found a napkin under the plate the girl had been eating from. The note said, "Help me. Call police." Shortly after the Carson City sighting, Penny turned to her Native American heritage in the search for Anthonette. She and her other daughters visited a respected Navajo medicine woman skilled in performing traditional tribal ceremonies. The medicine woman performed the crystal ritual, which is said to make contact with the spirit of a missing person. According to the medicine woman, Anthonette was still alive and may have a child. She was being held against her will by threats of violence somewhere in the Southwest. The FBI re-interviewed Penny in 1994, and she admitted to hearing a knock on the front door and said, quote, "I told her to go ahead and answer it. I laid there for a period of time, maybe 30 minutes, and Anthonette never came back. I got up to see where she was, but I couldn't find her." Penny claimed that the knock happened between 3:30 and 4:30 a.m., but also said that it was just getting light out when she got up 30 minutes later. This account differed significantly from her initial statement of waking up at 7 a.m. and finding that her daughter was missing. Later in 1994, when advised that the FBI had information that she was directly implicated, Penny confessed that she had been involved in Anthonette's abduction, asking, quote, "What if me and Emo did this? Would we both go to prison?" Penny stated that she and Emo got together on a plan prior to the disappearance after telling Emo that Anthonette was getting to be a problem. She wanted a better life for her. Penny advised that Emo then told her he would be the person that would take Anthonette. Penny wanted to know where the abduction would occur, but she was told it was better if she didn't know. She admitted to knowing who was coming to take her daughter, as well as having told her to open the door. Despite this confession and the FBI's strong belief that Penny was involved, she was never charged with Anthonette's disappearance. Important details have become distorted over time. According to some reports, Sadie mentioned hearing knocking on the front door while she was asleep. She recalled hearing Anthonette get up to investigate but heard nothing further. Other versions of the story suggest that Sadie also heard a woman's voice together with the two men. However, this information remains unconfirmed. The Albuquerque newspaper claimed that at 3 a.m., Penny was talking to Anthonette. However, other sources state the knock on the door occurred at the same time. 3 years after Anthonette's disappearance, her 25-year-old paternal aunt, Luisa Estrada, disappeared on September 5, 1989, from Gallup. Louisa had mental disabilities and was described as having the mind of a 7-year-old child and a speech impediment. Unlike Anthonette, Louisa was found alive in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, a month later and returned home. She told her family that a man in Gallup tied her ankles and wrists and told her, quote, "Don't tell your daddy," then took her to Mexico by car. Over the years, there have been questions over the potential connections between the cases. While the police and the FBI likely investigated Louisa's abduction, they did not release further details, and this case did not provide any new leads in the search for Anthonette. In 2016, Wendy discussed the challenges she faced growing up after her sister's disappearance, stating, quote, "I remember the police asking me what happened, and I had thought then that it was one of our uncles at the door. That turned out not to be true. Really, I'm not sure what happened to her." Wendy struggled with drug and alcohol addictions from a young age, using substances to numb her pain. These struggles led her into a life of gangs and crime. After seeking help and undergoing rehabilitation, she managed to overcome her addictions. Little is known about Sadie, and it's believed that she and Wendy have become estranged from each other as a result of Anthonette's disappearance and Wendy's coping mechanisms. After Anthonette's disappearance, neither Ronald or Emo ever came back to the Cayedito home or spoke with Penny ever again. Emo was given a polygraph test, but the results have never been publicly disclosed. He was never named a suspect or person of interest by law enforcement. Oddly, after Anthonette disappeared, Penny set up a shrine of sorts in her memory, and that same bear necklace that Emo gifted Anthonette on the evening before her disappearance was used as an ornament on the shrine. Penny was always convinced that her daughter was still alive, but she could not forgive herself for not securing a better future for her children. The police and FBI continued to suspect Penny. Penny passed away in Tucson, Arizona from a combination of liver cirrhosis and cardiac issues at the age of 46. The FBI wanted to interview Penny on her deathbed, but she had died prior to their arrival, taking her secrets to the grave. Thank you for listening to Without a Trace with your host, Jolynn. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into Anthonette's disappearance. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and follow the podcast on social media. Join me next week as I dive into another case.